Hello, I'm Barbara Levin. In our continuing series on Meet the Board of the McHenry County Citizens for Choice, I am so delighted today to be speaking with Nancy Schwab, who is one of the MCCC board members. Hello, Nancy.
Hi, Barbara.
It's so good to talk with you. Nancy, let's start by just, if you tell me a little about yourself, for instance, where are you from and how long have you been in McHenry County?
Okay. So I grew up on the far south side of Chicago, went to 12 years of Catholic school, and then I went to the University of Wisconsin in Whitewater, which is just over the northern Illinois border. And went there for 4 years and became a speech pathologist. And my very first job was January of 1973, Special Education District of McHenry County. And then I worked for 36 years. And so that's how I ended up in the little tiny town of Woodstock, because it wasn't too far from Whitewater, and there were job openings mid-year there. So that's how I ended up there. Very different than being in Chicago, of course. And so that was January 73.
Well, being from Marengo, I think Woodstock was the big city.
It's a county seat.
Yes, yes. Uh, that's great. How long have you been involved with MCCC?
So I was trying to estimate, and I'm going to say 20 years.
Wow.
So I think I came in maybe a year or so after a couple people were organizing it. And I think it's been about 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What drew you to the pro-choice movement?
So what happened is, even though I got married at 21, I didn't have my first child till I was 31. And we lived in Woodstock. And between 1974 and 1976, I was one of the founding members of McHenry County Now.
Wow.
And some people go, there was a Now chapter in McHenry County, and there was. We formed it in the basement. Everybody started groups in the basement of the Unitarian Church in Woodstock. You know, it's just the type of place. And so we started a Now chapter. And that's way back when we had consciousness raising meetings.
Yes.
I think it was like twice a month. We'd just be sitting around somebody. And, so all of this. And before that, even in college, I was having, saying, things aren't equal, things aren't right, And so, and I read The Feminine Mystique. And then I think I got the very first Ms. magazine that was ever printed, and was a subscriber to that for a long time.
Was it Wonder Woman on the cover?
Yes, probably. And I still have them all, probably. But, so for 10 years I was working and married, and after a year or two of marriage, I took my name back, which was outrageous in 1973, 74. I was really insulted by a lot of people that I didn't even know if they found out. Even at work, I'm just a big problem, changing things. And my husband was all supportive. So I was one of the early people. I hyphenated. Hyphenating did not work. People would not even put it on a credit card.
Wow.
They said, oh, too long, and it was not acceptable. So I had to make the decision to go with one name or the other. And my husband says, do either one. It's fine with me. So I went back to Schwab, I gotta say, in about 1974.
Wow.
And so I did that. We had the Now chapter. The Now chapter went for a good 2 years, and we did a lot of things. And then ERA came. And our whole focus, we already had choice, but our whole focus, in especially Illinois, we were going to be, like, 30 states had already passed it, and we needed 32. Nobody ever thought Illinois was going to be the state that ruined it. And we know why, because Phyllis Schlafly lives in Illinois. So we just worked really hard on it, even like League of Women Voters, in American University of University Women, and we kind of had a coalition then. And we had some speakers come to McHenry County. We had Marlo Thomas. But we just really kind of were starting to think this is a no-brainer until all of the backlash started because of Phyllis Schlafly and Eagle Forum. And then when that missed its deadline, they even extended our deadline in Illinois. We missed the deadline. It was devastating. So pretty much our now chapter kind of fell by the wayside then. And I did too. We were devastated that we couldn't even get ERA passed. So then I had children. So 81 and 84, and I'm working full time. And so I want to say for a good 10 years or more, I really was not involved in anything, feminist wise, women's wise. And then somehow, I don't even remember how, I heard about this chapter, this group forming. I think it was a little teeny thing in the newspaper. And that's how I started to go to the MCCC meetings. Because I wanted to get active again in something with women and women's rights.
That's a great story. Oh, that's great. So you said you moved to Woodstock and you started working in 1973, which was also when Roe v. Wade was. Wow. Do you remember it, or was there just too much going on?
I don't remember the moment it happened. I, of course, know it passed. But, it was the same month I started my career. And, it was, I guess, just not a big event, but it was a great event.
It was a great event.
But, and then, like I said, I started a now chapter with 10 other women, and fast forward to all the ERA years, and then kaput.
You bring up the ERA, and it's still shocking. It's still not passed.
She's still alive.
Yeah, just hanging on. It's been a long time. Well, and you also said when Roe v. Wade passed, it wasn't a big event. It was unanimously voted on by the Supreme Court. They already had it in some states. It probably wasn't, but it got co-opted. And now there appears to be a stigma about pro-choice. Do you think? Why?
Yeah. And I think, it's gotten worse. I've been trying to think about the stigma question, and I really think I've lost friends.
Really?
And I think I've lost contact with some cousins, because I would think, okay, what happened? And I am pulling it back. I have one cousin that I was very close to who works in a crisis pregnancy center in Naperville. And, we really don't have any contact anymore. And she had told me previous years, that she was pro-choice. And she's a nurse, and she retired from nursing and started working in a crisis pregnancy center is code for not promoting and not allowing and talking people out of having an abortion if they are seeking one. And we didn't have any words, but we just kind of lost touch. And I think it's because of that. And again, most of my friends are pro-choice, and I'll send things out to call on this bill or that bill, or, we used to escort at a clinic in Rockford. They don't really want to do anything out there, but they're pro-choice. Yes. They'll make phone calls in the privacy of their own home, a couple, and maybe write letters, but nobody's going to go out there like I am.
Yeah.
And, really announce it.
Well, thanks for keeping up with the noble fight.
Right. So I do feel there has been, and I don't find, it's not going to change who I am, but I really had to think about some relationships that may have ended because of that, because I am more outspoken.
Interesting. But you're not going to change. It's
the older I get.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's so appropriate, because I also want to ask about young people. And I've thought about this a lot. And every young man and woman has grown up with with abortion being legal, and even when it's threatened, they don't seem to get as incensed as the rest of us. Perhaps I'm projecting, but how do you think we break that down? And I don't want it to be threatened again to get the young people involved, but how do you think we bring young people back into the fold?
Yeah, we talk about this all the time in MCCC, and I know all the members of MCCC. At least we can say we're very proud of the fact that I think all of our children, my daughter and my son, are considered feminists, and I don't want to say they take it for granted, because my daughter knows from me that all these rights can be taken away, and they're trying every day to take choice away. But they are not worried about it. I think once something's passed, it's passed. And like you said, until it's really taken away or really threatened, they're just not involved. We are always trying to get younger people to come to our meetings, and a couple have come once or twice, but no, they're busy, of course, but until it's gone, I don't think we're gonna, but there are, I've been at different events where there are young women, and I love it, in their 20s and 30s. I've been to some, NARAL, some Now things. What's that organization? All for One, Above All. All above all. I was at a rally with them a couple years ago in Chicago. That's where I first met Lily Parker. So that was so great for me to see. But that's in the city, and it was so nice to see people in their 20s and 30s.
Oh, sure.
So I don't know what the answer is for getting more young people involved, especially out here in McHenry County.
Right. It's hard, and things always come a little late to McHenry County, it seems, and so there is a stigma.
I did want to say this because Mary asked me a while ago. Think about why you got involved. So besides becoming a feminist at I think a pretty young age, what I had to really think about was, I'm teaching. Some people knew, of course, that I had a Now chapter, and we had these, different people would come in and speak, and we'd have content. And so just some teachers and I traveled all over the county. So I went to 10 schools a week.
Wow.
And so I met a lot of special ed teachers. And I can remember people, after they knew what I was involved in, at least 3 people who just wanted to tell me that they had an abortion. And they had never told anybody else. Yeah. Because they had to go, to New York or wherever, this is before 1973, that they had them. And it didn't occur to me till later that they never had anybody to tell. And they just wanted to tell somebody who they knew was going to be sympathetic. And I was probably the first person they met since they had an abortion. And they just, they said, I had an abortion. And then we would just talk for a while. It wasn't until years later that I realized they had never told anybody. Wow. And they went off and did it and came back because it was very stigmatized. So.
Yes. And one of the things that I'm planning to do, and Mary might have told you, is that we're doing a podcast of stories, not just abortion stories, but just reproductive health stories, because they should be normalized, and it's hard to normalize those things if people won't talk about it. And I can't tell you how I was thinking, I don't know that many people who've had abortions. I do know that many people who've had abortions. I just don't know that. And this is legal.
Yeah.
It's so
but
shocking.
It's still a great stigma, and I probably have one person in mind that I'm still in contact with that could be a possibility for that.
Wow.
So we could talk about that. Yeah.
Good. Well, you're delightful. You're so kind to do this, and I'm so glad that I got a chance to meet you, however it is we met. And I will, and people will benefit from seeing this.
Mhm.
It's so nice to
Oh,
get to
good.
know you.
Good, good, good.
And and thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Barbara.
Toby's Fund for Women's Health is a 501c3 project of McHenry County Citizens for Choice Education Fund. If you wish to get involved with Toby's Fund or MCCC, contact us at info@mcctoby'sfund.org. Thank you.